Hello, everybody who was sent here against their will. Hi, aren't you? So, we're still in February, but we're halfway through February. You know what that means? We're closer to March. You know what that means? Mike Furman gets on the stand in March. I think. I think. This is about eye contact, Bill. It's about eye contact. Hey, Bill. Since I have you here, I know you did before, but I would have to scroll so far to find it. And I will. But if you could just type quick the name of the software that you use, that I won't have to scroll forever to find it. I need to think about something better. I need to go better. And yours is definitely better. Guys, Bill is a true professional. Watch his stream. Professional.
I'm going to put on the Elmo a diagram that has been previously marked, and I'm going to ask that this be marked as the A version of that.
This would be, have you already used the diagram?
I have it on the diagram.
66.
All right, people, 66A, you want the Elmo version? All right, Ms. Robertson, do we have that? All right.
All right, sir, do you recognize the diagram that we've previously marked as People 66?
Yes.
And can you see the area that you had told us you just walked down to follow Detective Furman?
Yes.
Can you use the pointer to point that out for us?
We came out of the residence, walked around the garage, down this long walkway, and went back to here to where there was an air conditioning unit, when that's where he pointed out an object to me.
Okay. Would you please, if you could, look at your monitor, sir, and direct the pointer to show us where you exited the residence and what your path was?
Okay, you'd have to go back up to where the breakfast area is.
Breakfast area?
Yeah,
All
right
right.
here at that. That's where we exited that residence.
Okay.
Whew, I
And
thought
then
we
you
were
went
getting
out,
nailed.
you said, into the driveway
Yes.
and around.
Listen, don't start. Don't start a conversation like that. Listen, when you say I have to be honest with you, that's always a bad thing. You just scared the dokies out of me. Like, what do we do now?
On the garage.
Yes.
Tell us where you went next.
Down the other side of the garage, eastbound, all the way back. Continue walking.
I am Bill Henderson.
Continue to go farther.
Thank you so much.
Well, we got a problem here because our...
Going up.
I walk straighter than that.
Why don't we try that again, okay?
How many times did you crash into the walls?
Right.
Just the one time in the garage.
And you tell the pointer when to stop.
Right about there.
All right. And if this could be 66A, Your Honor?
Yes.
And could we have the initials RP on that? Could you, sir, describe for us the condition of the walkway, that south walkway that has been, your path has just been traced on?
Well, it's a concrete walkway. It's quite narrow. It's probably, at some points, only a couple of feet wide, some places several more feet wide, but it has a lot of debris, leaves, and things on the walkway as you walk past. There's a lot of overhanging shrubbery that hangs from the gate or the fence that's just to your right as you're walking down, that hangs over into that area, that some of it almost even touches the house.
And the walkway itself, sir, was it clean and swept when you walked down there that morning on June 13th?
No, it was not.
What was the condition?
Well, as I said, it had leaves and twigs and, dirt and other things that were back in there.
Your Honor, I have here another board that has,
No, I'm not bored. What? What did she say?
asked that it be marked People 69, 68.
All right, people 68. Board with 4 photos without A, B, and C.
Asked for it, but they will all be done, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, just makes it easier for all of us.
It does, it does. Are you looking at those, sir?
Yes, I am.
They will be labeled from left to right at the top, A and B, left to right at the bottom, C and D. What is the location shown in those photographs?
This is the walkway to the south of the Rockingham address that I previously stated that I'd walk down.
And does that appear to accurately depict the condition that you found the walkway in that morning?
Yes, it does.
In photograph A, can I put it up on the screen? You can look at your monitor. Do you see that box hanging out of the wall there?
Yes,
What is that?
it's an air conditioning unit.
And was that unit for Cato Kalin's room?
I would have to assume that's for Cato's room.
Okay.
Cato Kalin's room, yes.
Did you ever go into his room?
No.
Okay. Now, John, can you get B? And photograph B. You see that area of the ground, sir?
Yes,
Is that the condition in which you found it on June the 13th?
yes,
C. And photograph C?
yes,
Is that the position and the condition in which you found that glove?
that's the item that Detective Furman had pointed out to me, yes.
When were you, as you proceeded down the walkway, sir, do you recall whether there were any gates that you had to walk through?
I believe there was 2 gates that we had to walk through, that I remember. There may be more.
Were either one of them, was there a lock on either one of them, or were they open?
They were open.
When you walked through... Go back to the diagram, if you don't mind.
I approve.
When you walked through the first gate, were you able to see the glove on the walkway?
No,
When you walked through the second gate, were you able to see the glove on the walkway?
no.
How close to the glove did you get before you were able to see it?
Quite a ways, I mean, very close to it. It was light outside, but it was still dark in that area because of the overhanging shrubbery. Basically, I had never seen this item before, so I didn't know where to look.
And so how close did you have to get to it before you actually saw it?
I got to it within about possibly 3 or 4 feet.
Did you touch it?
No.
And when you got to within 3 or 4 feet of it, what did you do?
I stood there and shined a flashlight on it and observed what it appeared to be, and then told Mark, I says, let's go back to the house and inform Van Ander and Lang of this.
Did you think that was significant, that glove?
Overruled.
Well, it appeared to be some, no, I'm sorry.
You can answer the question, yes or no. Did it appear to you to be significant?
Yes.
Next question.
And why was it significant to you?
It looked like it was also the same type of glove that we had seen at the Bundy location.
Did you ever go back farther than that glove to see what was behind the guest units in that house?
No.
After you got within 3 to 4 feet of the glove, what did you do?
Walked around, turned around, and went back into the house
And how did you enter the house?
through the same door I'd exited.
That breakfast area?
Yes.
Did you give some instruction to Mark Furman?
He came with me.
Right. After seeing the glove, did you give him some instruction?
I gave him some instructions that we were to notify Van Ander and Lang of what he had found and what he had showed me.
And so you then did both you and Detective Furman go back into the house?
Yes.
What happened next?
Detective Furman, I believe, walked up to Detective Van Ander first and told him what he had basically told me, and then Van Ander and Furman then left and went to the same, looked like they were going to go to the same location that I had, but I did not go with them.
Where did you go?
Stayed right where I was at, right by the kitchen breakfast cook door.
What happened next?
I stayed there. A short time later, Van Ander and Furman came back, and they had a conversation with Detective Lang, and then Lang and Furman took off the same direction that we had gone before, but I didn't go with them again.
Did you stay in front with Detective Van Adder?
I don't know if Van Ander was with me the whole time. I was just basically standing around, talking to people at different times, but not doing anything.
Where were you standing around in? What area?
In that breakfast area, the front part of the house, front part of the residence,
Okay.
that breakfast area.
Now, this was not your case anymore, is that right?
Not my case at all.
So why were you still there?
Because my partner, Detective Furman, was still showing Van Ander and Lang certain items that he had found, and we had not left the location yet from when we arrived.
Now, let me ask you something, sir. You had said earlier that the way you need to make notification is in person. That's the way that's preferred, is that right?
If it's practical, you do it in person, yes.
But you didn't wind up doing it that way, did you?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because we found someone at
If you were investigating O.J. Simpson, you might. I mean, if it was a different case, maybe. I don't know. I can get there. You're right. It's hard, but I can get there.
the residence that put us in touch with Mr. Simpson. We'd already made contact with members of his family, Arnell Simpson. It was kind of a mute point to sit there and say, no, I'm not going to tell you anything and leave the residence. So we got a hold of Mr. Simpson, informed him over the telephone, which wasn't the exact way that we'd like to have done it.
I can get there too because it's a murder scene. So yeah, I mean the bloody envelope was right beside it. So yeah, I can get there easy. I can get there.
But that's the way the situation presented itself.
And what do you mean that's the way the situation presented itself? Were you concerned that the media was going to find out before him?
Sustain.
I'm sorry. Let me withdraw that. What were you concerned about? Why did you tell him on the telephone?
Well, as I said, when we got there, we'd already contacted two people at that residence. We'd already told them we had an emergency. We were trying to look for him. It would have been very, very insensitive to just go, I'm sorry, he's not here, we're going to leave. People can find out later why we were here. She said she could get a hold of her father, so we got a hold of her father and gave him the information that we had to give him. It's not that we would love to have given it to him in person, had he been there, but he wasn't there in person, so we used the telephone.
During your phone call to Mr. Simpson, can you tell us where Detective Van Adder was? Did you know?
No, I don't.
Did you ever inform Detective Van Adder of what Kathy Randa told you about the whereabouts of Mr. Simpson?
I don't know if I told Van Adder. I told Lang because Lang was in the kitchen with me with Arnell.
He was in your immediate vicinity?
Yes?
Now,
If you take OJ and his family out of the equation completely, let's just pretend that all the evidence was planted like some people think, and you take OJ and his family out, there were 2 gloves at the murder scene. There was no blood on the Jeep, or the Bronco, I mean. Then it could have been anybody. Like, it could have been someone who was mad at Ron Goldman. It could have been someone else that Nicole knew, but nobody investigated that, I don't think. I think they were just on OJ.
after Detective Lang came back with Detective Furman, what happened next?
They asked Mark Furman and I to go back. Tom Lang did ask Mark Furman and I to go back to the Bundy location.
Please tell me you're joking.
And for what purpose? What were you going to do?
Tom had asked Mark to go back to the Bundy location and look at the glove at the Bundy location and get another look at it and see if it was in fact a match to the one that we had up at the Rockingham location.
And then what happened?
Mark Furman and I left the Rockingham location and drove back to the Bundy location.
There was no one on it. It wasn't like the
you went
Challenger.
back in your car
Okay.
together.
We're good.
When you went back to the Bundy location, did you see where did you go? What did you do?
We parked our car. I saw Mark Furman walk over to the Bundy location. He was going to take a closer look at the glove, and I saw Lieutenant Spangler and Captain Dial and some other command staff standing in the middle.
You don't understand, and you should because you're old. When they wheeled that TV into my, I don't know, 3rd grade class, I was like in third grade. When they wheeled that TV in, and we watched the Challenger go up in the air live on TV, and there was a teacher on board, and we were so excited, and that exploded, that is a permanent trauma. That is a permanent trauma because it was live, so there was no protecting us from what was about to happen. Anytime a spaceship goes up, nope, no.
The intersection, and they were looking at me, and I walked over to them to give them information that I had received or what had been done in the last hour.
And what time was it when you got back to the Bundy location with Detective Furman?
It was about 6:30.
And you saw him walk over towards the location?
He walked over to the crime scene location, and I walked over to Lieutenant Spangler and Captain Dial to inform them of what had been taking place, and also John Rogers.
Now, was the crime scene still taped off?
Yes?
And did you see anyone walking on the front walkway that leads from the sidewalk of Bundy to the front steps of the condo?
No, there was no one walking around.
Your Honor, could we cut the feed, please?
People's Exhibit 55.
Can you-
Officers are directed not to attempt to take photographs of the screen.
Can you tell us who that is pointing to the evidence in that picture, sir?
That's Detective Mark Furman.
Is that what he was wearing all night that night?
Yes?
That's how he was dressed?
Yes?
From the time you arrived at Bundy at 2:10 a.m.?
Well, the same questions about not having that.
Overruled because there was some other testimony regarding clothing in the interim.
What was that answer, sir? Is that
Yes.
how he was dressed when you arrived at 2:10 a.m.?
Yes?
And the location that he is pointing to, you recognize that?
Be
Yes.
nice.
What's he pointing to, sir?
He's pointing to the location where the glove is.
And is that the direction in which you saw him leaving when you went to talk to Lieutenant Spangler?
Yes, I did not see this photograph taken.
And this is People's Exhibit
55?
55.
Cut. All right, and at some point while you were there, after you got to Bundy, did another detective arrive?
Yes, Tom Lang returned.
How long after you got back to Bundy did he arrive?
Probably 10 or 15 minutes.
And what did he do?
He began to do his crime scene investigation of the Bundy location.
Did he make some request of you, sir?
Yes, he did.
And what was that request?
He asked me to make the first phone call to the coroner's office to give them the first call.
What does that mean, the first call?
It's a system that we have worked with the coroner's office where the first call informs them basically what we have. It's not a call to come out to the location, it's just to inform them of what we have. So the coroner's office can make preparations that their truck or one of their technicians is going to be needed over in the West Los Angeles area so they can have more control over their personnel, time-wise.
I think you indicated earlier, sir, that around 3 a.m. you wanted to call the coroner, but Lieutenant Spangler told you not to.
Overruled.
Yes?
Can you explain to us why you wanted to make the first call when you already knew the case was going over to another set of detectives and not yourself?
Well, I wasn't going to request the coroner at the location. I was just going to make the first call notification to the coroner informing them what we had, which is exactly what I did at 6:50. It was still the first call.
So they'd be ready when the final detectives made the call?
Yes?
All right, so you made the first call notification for them to prepare at 6:50?
Yes?
Was there a transcript prepared of your discussion with the coroner's office that morning?
I believe so.
And have you seen that?
Yes?
One, Councilwoman.
This is the first page of the transcript, Your Honor, prepared. I believe a portion of this was shown to the jury during Mr. Cochran's opening statement. I'd ask that this page be marked People's 69.
69.
You're going to have to probably...
One, please.
All right. Do you recognize what you see there?
Yes?
Does that appear to be the first page of the transcript of the conversation you had with the coroner's office on the morning of June the 13th?
Yes?
In the very first passage where you are speaking, sir, do you recognize that passage where you tell them you have a double homicide?
Yes?
And in that first passage, do you recall having that conversation?
Yes, I do.
What were you trying to convey to them in that first response? That first. This is. May we approach? This is foundational, Your Honor.
Yeah, just say that. It's foundational.
All right.
You don't have to approach, just tell the judge. Okay, one sidebar. We are 24 minutes in, so that's pretty good, guys. We did good today before we hit a sidebar. And it takes it the whole way to the end of the video. So,
All right, thank you, counsel. Ms. Clark, do you want to withdraw that question? Withdraw the question?
I withdraw the question, Your Honor.
All right, proceed.
I'm going to try and ask a better one. Could we, does that show the whole thing? All right. Let's look at that first paragraph, sir.
Yes.
You read it.
Yes.
You recognize the words in that paragraph.
Yes.
Is that what you said? I got a double homicide that we want to let you know about. It's going to be, the press is going to be crawling on us like ants when they find out what's going on. Were those your words?
Yes. You're going to make it very hard for me to go to the press again, aren't you?
By calling them ants.
Yes, they've been called worse. Jackals, I think? Okay.
I'll stay with ants.
We'll stay with ants. Can you tell us what you meant by that, sir?
I think the words speak for themselves.
I don't think this is,
This is,
I don't think we need to interpret this line.
I don't
but I
see
do,
why
let's go to the next one.
All right.
they're objecting to that question. I wish they would let her. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that question. There's no objection, legal objection for it. I don't get it.
All right, do you recognize, first read that paragraph to yourself, sir.
Yes.
All right. You recognize those words?
There's one problem is that it should not have underlying problems.
Do you have an unmarked copy? All right. All right, let's take that one down, Mr. Fetlow.
This is why we're here forever and ever.
This is a very faint line. That's the way it came to us, Your Honor. There's nothing improper about a line.
Wait.
I'd like for perhaps counsel.
Wait.
Oh, that hurts my heart.
You don't have a clean copy of that document?
This is the way we got them.
No, Your Honor, let me do it. That's not true. We have.
Hold on.
I'll be glad to give her a clean copy.
How long is the document?
No, it is true that these are the
Wait.
ones we have. Your
Wait.
Honor.
Counsel, when I say wait means stop. All right? How many pages is that?
Altogether, Your Honor, it's
It is different, Sean.
the entire transcript, Your Honor.
Shan.
5, 6, 7, with a message page, like 8 pages altogether.
All right, Ms. Clark, how much of this transcript are you preparing to proceed with?
I believe it's only the first page.
Mr. Cochran, do
But
you...
why don't we, may I ask a favor, Your Honor?
I was going to have my staff make a clean photocopy for both sides.
I have clean photocopies. That's what we have. It's
She can
clean.
have that?
She can have that. Let her have that.
We don't need the comments on either side.
She can have that, yeah.
All right.
Thank you. What
Proceed.
I'd ask, Your Honor, is could we pass these out to the jury?
Do you
This page?
have the tape to play? Do you have the tape of this conversation?
I don't have an audio tape. But if we could pass the page out to the
Well,
jury.
I mean, this is why we have this system here.
You don't want, you don't want.
Let's use the Elmo if the jurors tell me they can't read it. All right, 1492, can you read that? Thank you.
All right, in this second paragraph, you indicated this is the first call, and we got a lot of work to do yet. But we need to get you guys rolling out here so we can get these bodies, which are visible from the street, out here as soon as possible.
Yes.
You recall saying that?
Yes.
Now, first of all, tell us what you mean when you say this is the first call. What is that?
She's been over this already with the first call is. The document speaks for itself, Your Honor.
Overruled. Is this the first call you're
I'm
talking
going to
about?
slap him in
Yes,
a
sir.
second.
Next question.
Yeah.
You indicate you've got a lot of work to do yet?
Yes.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, Tom Lang had just returned to that crime scene And as of that time, very, very little crime scene investigation had been done. He hadn't even begun to really evaluate the crime scene that he had, so he did have a lot of work to do yet.
As that, what you were describing before, earlier in your testimony when you said you have to get work done before you get the coroner out?
Sustained.
Do you recall referring to that situation earlier in your testimony?
Yes?
And is that what you're referring to here?
Yes?
Meeting suggested, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Yes?
All right. Now, when you said these bodies which are visible from the street, were you making a comment about the visibility at that time of day, sir?
Sustained.
Yes, I object.
Okay. What were you trying to convey with respect to that?
I think that's what he's talking about. He's trying to get the
Overruled.
witness to speak for himself.
Hold on. What problem is created by bodies being visible from the street?
Well, they're viewed to the public.
Well, it's-
The
he's
public can
just
see
such a
them.
pain in
We
the
just as soon
ass.
get them as moved as soon as possible out of the street.
Just common decency?
Common decency to the families, to the victims.
Judge,
Next
that
question.
was not
And they-
your place to do that. That was her place to do that. That's just not right.
They were visible at that particular time, sir?
Check the phone on that question.
To you?
Yes?
Was it light out by then?
Yes?
Now, when you say we, who are you referring to?
I was making this phone call for Tom Lang, so I was referring to we as in Tom and I.
And you indicated as soon as possible?
Well, that's why we were making the first call to get them ready to go. We would make our second call when we wanted them, and they would be ready to do it. We could get it taken care of as soon as possible.
Next paragraph. All right. Now, in this paragraph, you can read it. You stated, we kind of,
You have to read this, we can all read this, Your Honor. There's a problem. It's not a
Overruled, counsel.
not following
Shut the
procedure.
fuck up, counsel.
But we're kind of asking a favor and, kind of work a little bit on this one.
Yes?
What procedure are you referring to?
Well, I'm referring to a procedure or policy of the Los Angeles Police Department where if I'm the investigating officer or the senior officer at a scene of a major unusual occurrence or a major news media event, it's my obligation to notify the press relations officer or the media about the situation that's going on, and I chose not to do that.
And is there something in your manual, actually, that says you are required, or the investigating officer is required to notify the media when a high-profile case occurs?
So it talks about, I believe, the senior officer at the scene, and at the time I was making the phone call, I was the senior officer at the scene from West LA.
Do you have a copy of that manual? Did you bring that with you, sir?
Yes, I do.
K9 was Doctor Who's dog's name, too.
Do you know where you could locate it in this
Yes.
manual? Would you please do that?
All right, records reflect Ms. Clark is handing.
Thank you. I'm record sure like I'm handing him a book that states on the front of it 1994 to 1995 Manual of the Los Angeles Police Department. Is this the manual you were referring to, sir?
Yes?
Go ahead and locate that for us, if you would.
And Detective Phillips, what section are you making reference to?
We're looking in Volume 1, 420.40.
All right, Mr. Cochran, do you have a copy of that?
No, may I put it in?
You want to have the clerk make a photocopy of that, counsel?
Yes,
All right, Detective Phillips, why don't you just hand that to me, please?
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, when we're like 95, we can say to our kids and grandkids, yeah, I remember the OJ trial, even though we don't. Because we weren't paying attention back then.
Madam Court Reporter, would this be a good moment to switch? All right.
Yeah, I'm not fast forwarding it because I'm just happy the council is just quiet right now. I hope she objects when they get up to. I just hope so. Judge would nail her if she did, though.
We're having our standard Murphy's Law problem with the photocopy machine. All right, Ms. Clark. Ms. Maximum, you ready? Counsel, you have to give a copy to the people.
Come on, lady. Get to work. Biscuits and gravy again, Donald? You should eat eggs. You could have so many more different things for breakfast if you would just get over your... Don't touch my keyboard, babes.
All right, Your Honor, if I might, I'd like to put this on the screen,
On the Elmo?
on the Elmo.
Fine.
Objection, Your Honor.
All right, you indicated that in your conversation with the coroner, there was,
I object to this is not asking a proper question.
it's a foundational,
She didn't even ask the question.
that you were kind of not following procedure. And now you want to explain to us the procedure that you were referring to.
You want me to read it?
Sure.
Responsibility for release of information. When an event being investigated is such a spectacular or unusual nature as to stimulate general community interest, the news media will be notified. Normally, it is the responsibility of an area or division commanding officer or the senior officer at the scene to make such notifications. However, when there is an event of major
I used a different type of timer to make soft-boiled eggs, David.
proportions, the press relations officer will assume responsibility for the release of information.
And that was
3-minute
the
eggs?
procedure
No
you were
problem.
referring to in your conversation with the coroner that morning?
Objection, that doesn't make any sense. I object.
Overruled.
Yes.
All right, did you want to mark that portion as a People's Exhibit, People's 70?
I should thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Okay, then what did you mean by we're kind of asking a favor? And kind of work a little bit on this one.
We were trying to keep this from becoming a news media event as for as long as possible. So we were asking the coroner's office to go along with us and not make any notifications themselves to the news media.
Was it their responsibility to make a notification to the news media?
I have no idea what their policy is or what their procedures are. I was just asking their cooperation.
Overruled. Answer will stand.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part of your answer. You were what?
Well, there's a huge difference between a soft-boiled egg and a hard-boiled egg. They're just two completely different meals.
I was just asking them to cooperate with my request. I did not know what their procedures were if they had to make a notification themselves. I was asking them to cooperate with what I was asking them to do.
Under ordinary circumstances, what should you have done? In this situation, you indicated to us that you called the coroner. You said, look, I don't want to call the media. They're going to be all over us. And so you didn't. You didn't notify the media. Under ordinary circumstances, what would you have done if you were to follow the procedure
Don't
that you were
mention
trying not to
pineapple?
follow here?
Trying to get me in trouble, aren't you? What I should have done,
Overruled.
what I should have done was I should have made a notification to Detective Headquarters, which is open 24 hours a day, inform them of the event that we had, the possible news media event this would create, and they in turn would have called press relations people at home. Press relations people would have been notified. They would have come out to the scene and they would have handled the press. That's what I should have done.
Now, the press relations officer, that was Deputy Chief Dave Gascon.
At that time, yes.
He's Deputy Chief now. He
He
wasn't
was
then.
commander then.
And would it have been his responsibility to notify the press of this case?
I have no idea what his responsibilities at press relations would have been and who he would have notified or when.
What was your concern then? Why didn't you want to call him?
Well, I didn't want to not call him only. I just did not want the press notified. There was several items that had come into play at that time. As the West LA coordinator of the homicide unit, and I don't actually work the homicides, I'm a peripheral person out there. I have sergeants walking up to me and lieutenants walking up to me going, how
Throw a little ham and cheese in there, and that would be delicious.
long are you going to keep my people here? We have other calls for service. There's other people that need the police out here. The longer I kept that unit there, the less time they would be out on doing patrol functions. The change of watch was coming down at 7 o'clock, which meant morning watch was just getting relieved of duty, and that day watch was coming to work. All the cars that were at West LA out in the field at the crime scene needed to go back to West Los Angeles to be given to the day watch units so the day watch units could come to work. So I had a change of watch going on.
All right, next question.
So what was the problem then? A manpower problem?
Re-
Sustained.
What was the problem that you were concerned about?
was concerned of a resource problem at two different crime scenes in the same division with manpower to adequately protect both crime scenes and also do whatever other functions West Los Angeles community needed.
And how would the press presence have complicated that?
We would have needed more press or more police officers to cordon off the areas once the press got there, as we all found out later on.
What happened later on?
We had several media personnel show up and crawling around us.
And when was that in terms of time? Can you recall?
The press started showing up, I believe, 7:30, 8 o'clock is when they started showing up, and then all of a sudden it was just massive after that.
And did it just continue to build after about 8 o'clock?
Sustain.
After 8 o'clock, when the first press you thought came about what time?
Well, I wasn't paying exactly attention to it. I'd say 7:30, 8 o'clock, maybe a little later.
After the first press arrived, did any more press arrive?
Yes,
Did they continue to arrive throughout the morning
yes,
and the afternoon?
yes.
At what time did you leave the Bundy scene?
I left the Bundy scene several times. I left, went to other locations, and came back.
And every time you came back to Bundy, had the press decreased?
No, it had increased.
And did it continue to do so during the day?
Continued to increase at both locations throughout the day.
So you made your first notification at 6:50?
Yes,
Did you subsequently make a second call to get the coroner out to the scene?
yes.
And do you know what time that was?
I don't recall the second time that I made the second notification. It slipped my memory for the moment.
Okay. Who was it that asked you to make the second notification?
Tom Lang?
And did you do so immediately?
Yes, I did. I might, 8:10 ring a bell with me right now. I'm not sure, but I think it might have been 8:10.
10 minutes after 8 in the morning that you called?
I'm only guessing now, so I shouldn't do that.
May I have a moment, please?
Objection. You had years. Let's go. Keep it going. Totally. 100% yes.
On the same transcript, Governor, I'd like to proceed to page 6.
All right, that's page 6 of People 69.
So was she having an affair with him?
What's being shown there on the monitor, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you recognize, is that the further down in the transcript that we have previously been talking about of your conversation with the coroner on the
Yes.
morning of June the 13th?
Yes,
And does it show another conversation between you and someone from the coroner's office?
yes,
And does it show a time for that call?
yes.
And what was that time, sir?
8 minutes after 8 in the morning.
Does that refresh your recollection as to the time at which you actually made the call?
More precise, yes.
All right, now in this call, directing your attention to the transcript, it shows that you stated we already gave you guys the first call several hours ago on Bundy.
Yes,
You indicated that your first call actually was at 6:50
that's correct.
to the coroner. Was that an accurate time, sir?
Yes.
What did you mean then when you said you gave the call several hours ago on Bundy?
Just a form of speech.
Is that what it felt like?
Just a moment. You interpret every word, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Proper.
Overruled.
May have seemed like that at the time, but
And farther down, you asked, okay, can you give me an ETA if you started rolling now?
yes,
What did you mean by that?
estimated time of arrival.
Okay. And if we could go farther down. The person you're speaking to, Heath,
Yes?
do you know who that is?
Yeah, he's one of the people that answers the phone at the coroner's office.
Does he do anything with respect to dispatching or giving notification to the people that have to go to the scene at the coroner's office?
That's his function, I believe, that morning.
So he gave you some information in this transcript as it's shown during your conversation? That the driving time and the estimate?
Yes?
And then you stated, okay, so you're talking a good 45 minutes then?
Right?
Right. Farther down? Now, why are you asking for an ETA? What is the purpose of that?
To find out at what time they could dispatch their personnel to our location, so I could coincide that with Tom Lang's, when he would probably be ready for them, and put the two together.
Okay. Now, farther along in the transcript, do you discuss the time further with him in your conversation?
Yes?
And do you give them a description of what they should expect there?
Yes? Sorry, is that a question?
I think you just answered it.
Oh, okay.
Do you see the further information here? Do you recognize these statements about you got coroner's number yet?
Yes?
Is that you?
I'm asking, do you have the corner number yet?
And then you're getting that from this person, Mr. Heath?
Yes?
And for what purpose are you asking for the coroner's numbers?
We always put the corner numbers down. That's how we refer to them in the coroner's office from that point on.
Okay. And then you see the end of your conversation.
Yes?
Sorry, my cat lightly touched my keyboard a tiny bit during a live stream. No one is touching anything right
I think that's all I have, Mona,
Good night.
What is helicopter? Let me give you... No, I don't have no idea. Never heard of it. Do not Google meat spin.
Thank you very kindly, Your Honor.
Morning, Detective.
Good morning, Mr. Cochran. How are you?
I'm just fine. How are you this morning?
Fine.
All right, great. Your Honor, might we start with, I have some transcripts of the entire conversation involving Detective Phillips for the jury. I'd like to mark them. One of them and have it passed out to the jury.
Objection.
I have it queued up if you
Your Honor,
like
did
to
you
play it.
just refuse to allow me to do that?
Good
You don't want
girl.
to hear anything.
Good
Are you gonna play the
girl.
whole- I
Good
asked you, do
girl.
you have the
Good,
tape?
good,
She
good
said she didn't
girl.
have the tape. She's talking about refusing. She said
Over
she
here at
didn't have
sidebar, please.
Donald, I have no idea. None. You have a headache. You don't need to unpack anything. Go to bed. Go to bed. Maybe we should watch this sidebars. Because one of these days, she's just going to turn and whack. Maybe. Hopefully. No. Okay. I'll fast forward it. Oh, come on, guys. Look how much time you wasted. There's only 2 people here that can delete chats, I think. It's me and Fozzie, and neither of us are paying attention. Fozzie, thank you. No,
Yes,
we're
Deputy
not.
Jackson, would you distribute those to the jury, please?
I'm actually playing a video game while listening and petting my cat. So there's no way I can click to delete a chat. It's too hard. Too much work. Donald deserves attention every day, every single day. But for better things, not for deleted comments.
I mean, we inspect the tape physically before it's played.
You're going to look at the tape physically before it's played? Oh, come on. Judge. Judge.
All right, folks, if you just hold on to those transcripts, don't read them until we actually start playing the tape that it pertains to.
We're never going to start, Judge.
I'm sorry, Ms. Clark, I didn't hear that. I think it's the same. It's the same one that you have without the underlines, isn't it?
Well, Judge, if it was the same one, oh my God. Oh my God.
Wait. Wait. Counsel. Wait. When I say wait, everybody stops talking and sits down. All right, Ms. Clark, have you had the opportunity to look at the tape? Mr. Darden?
I have, Your Honor. Mr. Cochran has told me that the tape has not been enhanced or otherwise edited, and
Fine.
I accept that representation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Cochran, you may proceed.
Thank you very kindly, Your Honor. Just a couple of questions. Good morning again, Detective Phillips. Sorry for the delay. I'm going to play the tape now, and I want you to assist us in identifying the voices.
Oh, he makes me so mad. Did you hear him? Sorry for the delay. You're the one that caused it.
Would you like a copy of the transcript also
Yes?
to go along with you? You perhaps need one. May I approach you?
The way he said it, he's blaming the prosecution. But he's the one that caused it. Judge did not say
Thank you.
Simon Says. You're right.
Now, I'll ask Mr. Harris, Your Honor, to place the tape in now. I'll ask him to stop it at certain points.
let's go back to
Let's
the,
back-
let's go back to the beginning.
Just before he plays that, let me ask a question, if I might, Your Honor.
Certainly.
Detective Phillips, this purports to be a telephonic communication between a deputy coroner by the name of Paul Willis and yourself, and I'll ask you if you recognize the voices at some
What you
point.
talking about,
okay?
Willis?
I'll recognize mine.
Okay, and you hopefully recognize the other voice. All right, why don't we start at the very beginning?
I want to let you know about it's going to be pressed as long as I can to find out what's going on. Okay, well, the first.
Now, whose voice is that?
Before it said okay, what?
Yes, where I got a
That was
double
my
homicide.
voice.
That's your voice? All right.
Sounds like it.
And that was your voice on June 13th, 1994 at about 6:49?
Yes, sir.
This your first call?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, let's proceed.
Call, we've got a lot of work to do yet, but we need to get you guys rolling out there so we can get these bodies, which are visible from the street out there as soon as possible. Okay. We're kind of not following procedures, but we're kind of asking a favor and, you know, kind of work a little bit on this one.
Now, at that point, when you talked about not following procedure, one of the procedures of the Los Angeles Police Department and part of your manual is that you are to notify the coroner as soon as practicable, as soon as possible. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And if you look in your book there before your manual, isn't there a section 238.46, notification to the coroner?
Yes.
And it says essentially, doesn't it, sir, that it shall be the responsibility of the investigating officers to notify the coroner of all deaths occurring and list a series of times. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And as an experienced homicide investigator, you know that it's important for the coroner to be notified because the sooner the coroner gets there, the sooner the coroner can do what the coroner does and try to ascertain when the time of death was. Isn't that correct?
That's important.
Isn't that important in every case, the time of death?
It's important. It could be.
And in your own department, there have been complaints from the coroner's office about the LAPD not giving them notice on time. Isn't that correct?
I've never heard of any of those complaints.
You never heard any of these complaints?
No, sir.
Have you heard that your own chief, Willie Williams, has instituted an investigation into the detectives not giving proper notice and appropriate notice to the coroner's office?
Objection if any was proper and appropriate and hearsay.
Overruled.
I'm not aware of any investigation being done by Chief Willie Williams.
You're not aware of any investigation since June of 1994 where the chief has had an investigation done because the LAPD does not give timely notice to the coroner's office. Now I'm asking.
Overruled. Overruled.
I've told you that I do not know about that investigation, sir.
And you've never heard of the LA County Coroner's Office complaining about the LAPD not giving notice?
I think it's still be up. Let me lock it.
Overruled. Overruled.
I'm not aware of any fresh, new complaint or investigation going on. I'm aware of the fact that that's what brought about the first call and the second call, if that's what you're referring to.
Well, let's talk about something other than fresh then. Let's talk about, I've asked you
I should start posting
generally,
that more.
now let's ask, what do you
Forgot
know
all about it.
the coroner's office being concerned about not getting notification of these deaths?
Well, I know that the coroner's office requested we make a first call, telling them what we have, so they could make arrangements to have their personnel ready for when we made a second call to come out to a crime scene. So they would not waste as much time getting their manpower situated along with our manpower.
Now, when was that? When was that discussion? When did you institute this first call procedure?
Well, that's been instituted for years.
Is that in your manual anywhere?
I know it's in a special order,
Is it in your manual?
special order
Operations.
number 21, I believe.
Do you have that up there?
I don't have it here.
So it's not in the manual.
I don't know if it's probably in the manual. If it's a special order, it's now, special orders go in the manual.
All right, well, over the lunch hour, would you look and see if you can find it for us? I suspect we'll be back this afternoon.
I have a copy of it.
Okay, well, you can see if you can find it in the manual for us over lunch hour.
Okay.
All right. Now, but basically, you are aware, and in the manual is 238.46, notification to coroner. Isn't that corrct?
Yes.
Hey, Terry.
And it indicates
you're
that.
green.
In fact, maybe if Your Honor would allow, I'm not sure this has been marked. I would like to show this to counsel, and I'd like to mark this and put it on the OMO at this point before we go back to the tape.
I was thinking the same thing. If he told me to do that over lunch, I would be like, No, no, I'm not going to do that over lunch. You show me what you want me to testify about, sir. Objection, Your Honor. No, Donald, there's not enough room for the icon. Plus, you might accidentally put it on front to back.
You could have an opportunity to check it against the 94, 95, make sure it's the same.
All right. Perhaps we should pass on to something else.
Why? They're just going to waste time with the next freaking thing. One question in. One question in, waste time. The next question, waste time. Next question, sidebar. Nope, just let him stay with this one. Waste of time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, while the attorneys are conferring, if you want to stand up and stretch or stretch your legs a little, feel free to do so.
Not always so cute. Nope.
Mr. Cochran, would you give those items to photocopies of Ms. Moran, please? Thank you. Too late. All right. And Mr. Tyler, would you tell Ms. Moran I need about a half dozen of each, please? Half dozen. Thank you.
I've sold 10 items on that Redbubble site I just checked. And that's not even halfway of enough items sold to send me any kind of payment. Everything on there is as cheap as I can put it, guys. Are we going to do any of the trial today, Judge? I wonder. Somebody smack that big button on the wall.
Thank you very kindly, Your Honor. I believe we're now, I think counsel has a copy and I have a copy, and we're now, I believe, ready to proceed.
There's no profit.
I
There's
think,
just nothing.
Whatever I asked last, I'll move to strike that, Your Honor, and go to this question.
If I said the profit was going to someone else, then they're shit out of luck because I'm never going to see a dime from that. But are you talking about Kelly, though?
Detective Phillips, you've now provided us with a...
Oh, no,
19
that's Redbubble. So, okay, there's a teenager in Lancaster that wants to start his own business selling T-shirts and things like that. He's not up and running yet. So those, yeah, he's not up and running yet. Those, when I post it, all of that will go to him. Profit.
1994 version of the notification to coroner, and it's 238.46 of the Los Angeles Police Department manual. Is that correct?
Yes?
And do you have a copy of that still?
No, you took
All
mine.
right, I'm going to bring it back for you. Okay. I'm going to ask the court to mark that as the defendant's next in order and put it on the Elmo, Your Honor. I'm going to return these to Detective Phillips.
All right, that's defense.
Thank you, sir.
1016.
1016?
Yes.
Now, can you bring that a little clearer, please? And now it's 238.46. 46.
He said it was for a school thing. So he should be done with it soon, right? If he wants a grade. Maybe I'll call him. Little boys hate phone calls.
Now, that section indicates, does it not, Detective Phillips, that it shall be the responsibility of the investigating officers to notify the coroner of all deaths occurring, and list a series of times, and under them are when the deceased died under certain circumstances while under arrest. Is that correct?
Yes?
When the deceased has not been attended by a physician within 20 days preceding death.
Yes?
When the deceased committed suicide.
Yes?
When the attending physician is unable to state the cause of death.
Yes?
When the deceased died as a result of an accident.
Yes?
And when there is any suspicion that the death resulted from the use of narcotics.
Yes?
And then, and I hope we copied that, over at the next page at the top, goes on to say, under such circumstances as to afford a reasonable ground to suspect that death was caused by the criminal act of another. And this, of course, was the section under which you were operating. Is that correct?
Yes?
And so that was part of your manual, part of your responsibility as an investigating officer. Is that correct?
Was
On that
not.
date in June 12th.
It's my responsibility as the investigating officer, had I been the investigating officer at the time.
Right. And since you had been relieved of duty, it fell to Lang and Van Adder, and as such, as we're hearing from this tape, you were carrying out the request of Tom Lang to do this. Is that correct, sir?
That's right.
Now, in addition to that, right under this particular section, it cites Health and Safety Code section 10250. Now, as an experienced detective, you know what that section is about, don't you?
Yes?
And so that we're all clear, Your Honor, I'd like to mark as defendants next, in order I'm giving counsel a copy of the Health and Safety Code. I'd like to mark as defendants next in order D1017, to put on the Elmo, the particular section 1017. Now, what is your understanding about responsibility of the coroner and this particular Health and Safety Code section 10250? If the coroner is not notified promptly and appropriately, what is your understanding of that?
Well, it's been a long time since I've read the Health and Safety Code, but I understand if you were to have a situation where you would have a dead body and you made no notification at all to the coroner's office, and I imagine just left and walked away from it, you would be guilty of a misdemeanor or of some type of crime.
All right, let's look at this section. This section does provide, under 10250, that if you look right at this section.
Excuse me, counsel, is that the 94 version?
I hope it is. We got it from Your Honor's clerks, I think. I hope that they gave us that.
That's,
We got the Your Honor's sir.
no, there is a 1994 amendment to,
All right, well, we got the one from Minnesota. Can I see that? Change is so incidental, Your Honor.
well, if we're going to use the statute, let's use the statute.
Correct on this.
The cat is just here. What do you want me to do? Get rid of the cat? No, I can't. It might hurt me. We're not missing anything. They're just standing there. Nothing's happening, and now the video's over. I feel like, no, we didn't waste today. There was some stuff. We got through some stuff about him not calling the coroner. Oh, for him saying, "Can you do me a favor?" Actually, I'm going to do a few minutes of the next video. We have 15 more
Mark
minutes.
this 1017, Your Honor. Ms. Clark and I have both seen it. Where it says, any person who does not notify the coroner as required by this section is guilty of a misdemeanor. So it makes it a crime, does it not?
If you were to do that, yes.
Right, if you didn't give notice to the coroner under these circumstances spelled out in 10250. Is that correct, sir?
If you didn't notify the coroner when you had a dead body and you were the police officer, I'd assume you were violating the law.
All right. And with regard to this whole concept of the first call, you were kind enough to give us a special order number 21, dated November 17th, 1993, and the subject deals with notifications to the coroner. You have your
Yes.
original back, do you?
Yes,
And this was signed by our Chief of Police, Willie L. Williams. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And with regard to this particular document, can you copy this? Give a copy of this. Here, you guys. I'm going to mark this.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to mark that defendant's 1018, Your Honor. All right. And this, I only have, your staff is very frugal, Your Honor. They only make 2 copies, so I'll have to stand over Ms. Clark's shoulder if I can. This,
The people don't object even though there's underlining on it.
well, it came from her witness, so I guess it's all right. May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Now, this document, Special Order Number 21, November 17, 1993, the purpose of this document was what? You recall the purpose?
It was just a purpose for me to read it.
Well, as you understand the purpose, yes, sir, you can read it.
It has to do with immediate notifications whenever it is determined that a death falls within the purview of the coroner's office.
Please don't tell Fozzie that. He's going to yell at me. He's going to yell at me. But the shirts are dirt cheap.
All right, let's say when you said immediate notification, that means quickly, right away, immediate?
As soon as possible.
Is that what immediate means to you?
In these types of circumstances, that's what it means to me.
All right, and so when it says immediate notification, when the death falls within the purview of the coroner's office, and what does that mean, sir?
Well, when it comes under one of the sections that we just previously read about whether it's an accidental death and not within 20 days and in custody or as a narcotics or as a hands of another.
So these deaths would come within that purview, would they not?
I would think so.
And this will allow the coroner to be more effectively deploy, resources throughout the city and reduce potential delays in responses to death scenes. Is that correct?
By the coroner's office, yes.
And then the chief goes on to say this order will advise procedures for notification to the coroner's office, right?
That's correct.
And pursuant to this, based upon when you received this order, you received this order, did you, out in West Los Angeles?
Yes.
All right. And then once you received this order, you proceeded to try and implement it, did you not, on cases you were investigating?
That does sound like a long time. I know Marcia said that they needed time, or was it Dearden? Anyway, one of them said they needed time to, collect evidence, take pictures, and things like that. Just document the crime scene before they could call the coroner in. And they wouldn't let, he said that, he said it. He said he wouldn't let the coroner in ever before they collected all the evidence.
Yes.
6 hours,
And you
though?
have to assume, would you not, that the detectives at robbery homicide, which is the downtown unit at Parker Center, also received this unit. Is that correct?
I would have no idea if they received it.
Wouldn't you think that general distribution, an order from the chief of police, would go to all units?
I would imagine that they got it down there, but I don't know for sure if they've got it.
All right, I understand. But it was in general circulation. You got it out in West Los Angeles.
Yes, I did.
And it goes on to say, does it not, that the investigating officer at the scene of the death, which requires notification to the coroner, shall make the notification immediately upon determining that the death falls within the purview of the coroner's office. Is that what it says?
Yes, it does.
If the coroner is not immediately needed at the scene, the investigating officer shall advise the coroner of an approximate time when the coroner's deputy can respond. Is that right?
That's correct.
If no time can be estimated, the investigating officer shall arrange to make a second notification to the coroner when response is appropriate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Cochran, I think you have a copy too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, Marcia. Now, before we get back to the tape, this particular section we're just reading now, Special Order Number 21, changed the policy as it existed prior to November 17th, 1993, right?
Yes.
And it talked about immediate notification. Did you ever ask Chief Williams or anybody in the chief's office what he meant by immediate notification?
No, I've never discussed it with him.
Did you ever have any training or seminar as to what they meant about immediate notification?
Well, I know what they're referring to, but this is a black and white thing you're referring to, and I deal in the gray area out here. When you walk out to a crime scene, you just don't immediately turn around and make a phone call to the coroner's office. You have to see what you have, you have to investigate what you have to talk to some certain people, and so as soon as practicable, you immediately make that notification. It's not one of the first things you do when you get to a crime scene. Never has been, Mr. Cochran.
I understand, but I'm talking to you now about this change in the chief's office, November 17th, 1993, which I believe you told us came about because the coroner's office had some kind of complaints or concerns. Isn't that correct?
Well, as I told you, I wasn't aware of the complaints that were being made, and I wasn't aware of the investigation. But I think the complaint was basically because we would call and then we would wait hours and hours and hours for a coroner's office to show up. So this was implemented so it would cut down on our delay time in waiting for a coroner and their time when they were going to arrive. So we would both work together to where we could get the coroner's office out there at the time when we were ready for them.
Would you agree with me that waiting from 12:15 to 6:50 in the morning, you think that's immediate for the first call?
Well, no, but the circumstances out there dictated that. And as it says, as you read farther on in this special order, why we waited further.
I see, but you said the circumstances dictated. But if it impinges upon the ability of the coroner to do their job, and somebody's freedom might also be determined by the...
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm trying to finish the question.
It's argumentative.
Well, let me see if I can restate it in a less argumentative fashion, Your Honor.
Thank you.
If the coroner's not being notified affected the coroner in determining the cause of the time of death in a particular case, do you think that's a pretty important circumstance?
If that occurred.
And did you think that might be certainly more important than notifying the press relations officer downtown about the press being crawling on the scene like ants? If you compared the two, do you think that would be
Excuse me, sir. No, he can do both. He didn't do one or the other. He did both. And he can do both.
more important?
Well, the coroner's office was notified, Mr. Cochran.
No, I'm asking you if you compared the press relations officers and your concerns with that, with the notification of the coroner, who could then come out and start a process by which he could perhaps, with greater specificity, determine the cause of death. Wouldn't you think that's more important?
Well, it would be more important to have the coroner out there, sure, than it would be to notify the the press relations officer, but
All right, you've
did
answered.
them both at the same time.
All right, you've answered the question. Thank you. Now, Your Honor, if we might, may we proceed with the tape down?
Yes.
Okay, you're at the scene now?
Yeah.
Okay, but what is your callback number at the station? 310? 575-8441. Do we have names on these people? No, I don't. Okay,
Now, at that point, when he asked if we have names on these people, you said, no, I don't, right?
That's correct.
And you didn't, at that time, you didn't have to tell him anything about Simpson or anything of that nature. Isn't that correct? This is your first call, right?
I didn't have the names of
Right.
the people.
But I'm saying you didn't have to tell him anything about it, even being high profile at that point. This was your first notification, was it not?
That's correct.
And so you didn't have any actual names, right?
Didn't have both names.
Okay. You suspected one name, but you said, when Willis asked you, do we have names of these people, you said, no, I don't,
That's
right?
correct.
Okay. All right, let's continue on.
both males or?
A male, female, a female, and a male.
All right, are they Caucasian?
It appears that both are Caucasian. The female is definitely Caucasian. The male appears to be Caucasian.
Okay, where are they?
They are at 8. You get this 875 South Bundy, Bundy.
Okay, and you say they're in plain view?
Well, you can see them, yeah, from the street here. They're a little off the sidewalk. They're at the front of the house. But the problem is, when this thing breaks, we're gonna have news from everywhere here. It's gonna be a high profile. It's a very, very prominent sports celebrity. So,
Can you give me the name?
All right, so you then kind of volunteered that it was the ex-wife of a prominent sportscaster or whatever. It was a high profile. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
And he had no way of knowing that at this point. You were just trying to get a number to get them alerted, weren't you? Isn't that correct?
Well, he asked me a question, and I gave him an answer.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, you're a police officer, and people ask you questions all the time, and you don't answer. Isn't that right?
Sometimes, sometimes not.
All right. So in this instance, if you were concerned about keeping this matter quiet and not getting any great publicity, there was no obligation on you to say to Mr. Willis that it's going to be a high-profile type deal. It's the ex-wife of a very prominent sportscast star or sports celebrity. You didn't have to tell him that, did you?
I didn't have to, no.
Okay, but you did, didn't you?
I did.
All right. Now, he then goes on and asks you, can you give me the name? Is that correct? Pick it up there.
No, I don't think he messed up at all. He did notify the coroner. He did notify the press office. He didn't want the coroner out right away so that he could collect the evidence. So far, I don't see where he messed up yet. I'm working on it. I'm waiting for it.
you're not gonna let this.
No, I'm an investigator.
Okay, I'm gonna have to trust you on this. It's O.J. Simpson's ex-wife.
Oh, boy. Okay,
Stop it there. So now, you told him you had to trust him on this. Did you know this man before this, Detective Phillips?
Oh, I've talked to him before.
All right, but had you ever met him personally?
I may have.
Well, let's.
Well, I don't. I mean, I've met a lot of guys down at the coroner's office. I may have met the man, and I may never have met the man. I recognize the name from calling in several times.
Well, I understand, but you can't. We sit here now. Can you place the face with the person?
I believe so.
All right. Well, were you such good friends that you could trust him on this?
Well, he's a coroner's office examiner that I'm calling and talking to, so I did trust him.
All right.
Exactly. He works for the coroner. So yes, there's a level of trust that he would have. It's not like he was calling a friend or anything like that. He was calling a coworker.
But if you wanted to keep this low profile and kind of a secret at this point, why would you share this with him? Wasn't necessary at this point, was it?
It wasn't necessary, but I didn't think it was unnecessary either, so I just did.
So you did anyway. All right.
That's right.
Okay, let's go on, Mr. Harris.
He's in Chicago.
He doesn't know anything about
He knows now, and that's what's going to break this thing wide open.
Okay.
Now, again, you had, by the time you made this call at 6:50, you felt that you should tell this person on the other end of the phone that O.J. Simpson was in Chicago?
Evidently I did. I did.
Well, I mean, you heard... You
I said
doubt?
evidently I did, so I must have told him.
All right, let's continue on.
Are these both gunshot wounds?
We don't know. We haven't moved the bodies yet. We don't know exactly how they died yet.
Okay.
They were either shot or bludgeoned to death.
Now, this 875 is near Montana, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with West LA there.
It's right on the corner of Dorothy.
Dorothy and Bundy.
Yeah.
Say Darlington.
No, it's Dorothy and Bundy.
Okay, you want us rolling out now?
Hold on a second. Tom?
Stop there. Now, he was asking you at this point whether or not the coroner's office could come out right then. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And you hadn't made a call before this, had you?
No.
So with regard to this first call policy, on sometimes the coroner could come immediately at the time of the first call. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, at this point, since you were just doing a favor for Detective Lang, is that correct? You had to talk to Tom Lang about what comes next, isn't that
Tom
right?
Lang was requesting that I make this phone call for him.
Okay. All right, let's proceed on then.
Tom, you want the corner now? No. Hold on a second. How long? Okay, you're just getting the first call.
Yes.
All right, we'll give you a call back when we want to move.
Okay, fine.
It's probably going to be about an hour to an hour and a half.
An hour to an hour and a half. Okay, I won't give you any numbers yet.
Right.
Okay,
And what this is going to be, it originally was ours, but it's going to be taken over by RHD.
okay. Okay, Mr. Phillips,
We'll give you a call. But if you can kind of figure out your driving time with traffic and so forth about that time, because what we got now, we got 7. So about 8:30 is when we're going to probably want someone pretty close to here.
okay.
All right?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to give this to the supervisor because I'm leaving now.
All right.
And tell him that you're going to be calling back in about an hour, hour and a half.
Right.
Okay, Mr. Phillips.
Okay, and again, we don't want that out.
Right. I will. I'll tell the supervisor, but there's just the two of us will know that.
Okay.
Now, would you agree with me the best way of not getting something out is not to tell somebody?
In
As a police
hindsight,
officer?
yes.
All right. Okay, I just wanted to see if we agreed on that. Okay, continue on.
All right.
Thank you.
Now, after that, that call was at 6:49 in the morning, and that was the so-called first call. After that, you still remained at the scene. Is that correct?
I just
I think we get to that when Cato gets on the stand.
stood around, yes.
All right, okay. And you had
Yep.
occasion to make another call, which we now know was about 8:08. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, you have the transcript before you. I'll ask Mr. Harris before we break for lunch, Your Honor, to play. This is the second part of the tape, the second tape.
We already gave you guys a first call several hours ago on Bundy.
Yeah.
Okay, can you give me an ETA if you started rolling now?
Sure can, Phillips. Hold on just a minute, okay? You got two bodies then, right?
Right.
Okay, hold on.
A year of entertainment. A year, Bill. A year. Let's go, sir. I need to end. And 3 is several inches. I get it.
Mayor, who are you talking to? Lang?
Tom Lang.
Okay, thank you. Continue.
Okay, you want to start rolling them?
Yeah, not sooner. Huh? Maybe within an hour. Not sooner, 45 minutes.
Oh, you're not going to roll them for an hour?
No, we'll be there within 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You got a corner number yet?
Yeah, they're both in sequence. And for the male Caucasian, I've got 94-05135. And for the female Caucasian, I have 94-05136.
Okay.
Monies?
We'll see you here.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Now, just to end this portion, sir, that call started at 8:08 and apparently lasted maybe 10 minutes or so. Were you still at the scene by 10 o'clock?
I'm sorry, was
Were
I
you still
still?
at Bundy there until 10 o'clock that morning, a.m.?
I believe so.
Can you tell us what time the coroner finally arrived that morning?
No, I'd have to look at the crime scene log to know that, sir.
And would the crime scene log help you in determining that?
Yes.
Well, we'll find that out right after lunch. Thank you, Your Honor. Perhaps that'll be an appropriate place.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our recess for the noon hour. Please remember my admonitions to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't form any opinions. Don't allow anybody to communicate with you regarding the case. Don't conduct any deliberations till the matter has been submitted to you at the conclusion of the case, and we will reconvene at 1:30. Detective Phillips, you're excused till 1:30. All right.
All right. Today was the day that I got mad the most in this case. It was frustrating. Very, very, very frustrating. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming out. I really, really appreciate it. I do. Rent? Is that rent? It's rent, isn't it? Yep. 525,600 minutes. All right. Stop distracting me. I'm very easily distracted, okay? Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next time. Be good. Be good.